Health Matters with Karen Key.
When we are exposed to harmful noise, sound that's too loud or sound that lasts a long time, sensitive structures in our inner ear can be damaged, causing noise-induced hearing loss. Now, NIHL, which is noise-induced hearing loss, can be caused by a one-time exposure to an intense impulse sound, such as an explosion, or by continuous exposure to loud sounds over an extended period of time, such as noise generated in a woodworking shop. Well, joining me this evening is Professor Dr. Bart Fink, and he's Head of Department of Communication Pathology and Audiology at the University of Pretoria. Good evening, Dr. Fink. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good evening.
This is one of those things that is my pet subject, because I watch young people, especially with those iPod things, and they've got those things stuck in their ears, and you walk past them and you can hear what they're hearing, but you can hear it as clearly as they can because it's on so loud. What are they doing to themselves?
Well, actually, it's a quite shocking thing what you see over the last 25 years. I was just reading in Belgian newspaper today that colleagues from the University of Antwerp described today that 2 out of 10 young children today have ear ringing, a constant beat tone in their ears, and that 8 out of 10 have troubles by a temporary beat tone in their ears. What we have seen in my own studies is that over the last 25 years, at least the amount of young people that develop serious hearing loss is increased by about 27 up to 28%. In the total population between 18 and 25 years old.
That's actually quite disturbing, but explain to us what exactly is happening when you have that music pounding or the shop machinery in a workshop pounding in your ears all the time. What is it doing to you? What is it damaging?
Well, actually, if you must compare your ears with a piano, and inside our ears we have very sensitive cells. And we can compare these cells with the keys of a piano. Instead of a piano, we have 3,500 keys. And each of these hair cells inside the inner ear is responsible for one single frequency. So the moment that sound or loud sounds are damaging these hair cells, actually you take away keys from your piano. So actually you are losing more and more sounds over the years. And where this damage in the past only started when people were 40 years of older, we see the same effect already at very young age at the moment.
And the problem with this, though, is that once they're damaged, they can't be repaired.
Yeah, there is no treatment. A lot of people, and this is really important, a lot of people think that there is cure, that there is treatment, because we have hearing aids and all these things, but hearing aids and all these other devices never can replace these very specific structures within the inner ear. So there is no possible treatment. So the only treatment is actually prevention, and be sure that you do not get the problem.
And as we said, this could be something like continuous exposure to things like loud music or heavy machinery, but it can also be caused on a once-off loud explosion, like a big bang sort of noise, an impulse sound, or a gunshot or something like that.
Yeah, definitely. It's especially the most knowledge that we have is about people that work in a military environment for impulse noises, where we actually know that even one single gunshot or even an explosion of a grenade or something like that actually can destroy your ears in a few seconds. But the most dangerous thing is the fact that what youngsters do nowadays, while they actually increase their exposure to music and loud activities over the week, so that actually it builds up over years, and then at the age of 30, suddenly they detect they have problems of speech understanding in noisy environments. And then it's already too late.
Now, what is tinnitus? Because is that sort of a result of this loud noise, or is that something completely separate?
It's definitely related to noise-induced hearing loss. And it's actually an even bigger problem in society because at the moment about between 10 and 20% of the population develops hearing loss, significant hearing loss, while at the moment already more than 30% of the total population has tinnitus. And if you see, the main cause for tinnitus is noise-induced hearing loss. And actually it's the same thing with the piano keys. The moment that you damage these keys, you actually push the key so that actually it produces sound. So the more hair cells that you are damaging, the more keys of your piano that will be pushed so that you actually will develop either a beep tone or a noise when you have a lot of keys together that are pushed together.
So for people who aren't aware, tinnitus is when you have that constant ringing in your ears, and it is very disturbing, and you don't quite know what to do with yourself because no one else can hear it except you.
Yeah, well, that's true. It's a sound that other people cannot hear. Only you can hear it. And the problem with tinnitus is that many people in the medical world tell clients that it's not curable, that there is no treatment for it. And this is also a quite shocking experience. Let's suppose that you go to a dentist and that you have severe pain and your doctor tells you that that pain will never go away and that you will have it for the rest of your life. Then it's a very frightening experience. So it's very important that clients know that if you develop tinnitus because of exposure of loud noise, or if you attended a festival or a rock festival or something like that, that there is definitely a treatment for it and that it's curable. And that it can go away, and because tinnitus is also very much influenced by your psychological reaction to the symptom itself.
Now we measure sound in decibels. What is the upper limit that we should be exposing ourselves to before we're going to start damaging ourselves?
Well, it's actually the risk for developing hearing loss is depending on two factors. It's first of all the intensity level in decibels, but also the time that you are listening, the exposure duration that you are listening to that sound. And in safety terms, it's so that you can listen to a sound of 75 decibels during 8 hours. So, and 75 dB, you can compare it with the sound intensity of a lawnmower, so that you can listen to that sound for about 8 hours a day. For each increase of 3 dB, you can only listen half of that time to the same sound. So you can listen 78 dB for 4 hours, 81 dB for 2 hours, etc., etc. Now, you must realize that if you are attending a rock festival, for instance, the average sound at rock festivals nowadays is 105 dB. So that means that you can be there without any protection for about 1 second.
1 second?
1 second.
Oh my goodness, okay.
And even in movie theaters, we actually at the University of Pretoria, several of my undergraduate students are at the moment measuring sound levels in movie theaters. Also there we find sound levels that are exceeding 90 dB, which means that you actually should leave the movie 15 minutes after it started.
Oh my goodness, okay. Right, I mean, what can we do? I mean, other than we can't walk around with earphones on all the time.
No, I think the first thing is that we have to set guidelines. That means that we have to develop criteria that are very precise, trying to reduce the sound at the source. I think I developed guidelines overseas myself that were implemented in legislation, where it was very clear that we reduced the sound levels at music festivals, in movie theaters, etc. The other thing is that all workers in industry, and there is South African legislation for this, it's compulsory for them to wear hearing protectors the moment that they are in environments where the sounds are exceeding a sound level of 85 dB. I think it's quite obvious that if you protect workers at music festivals, that you should also protect the students and the youngsters that are attending the same events. So I think it's very important that we develop guidelines, that it's also important that at schools, in high schools, and maybe even already in primary schools, that children and youngsters and parents should be informed about the risks of listening to an iPod. And the iPods and these MP3 players are forming an enormous risk for youngsters. At the moment, it's very important to know that listening to an MP3 player is only allowed for about 1 hour a day, maximum at 50% of the volume of the MP3 player.
And I think one of the most important things are our very young children, because I'm sure their hearing must be even more delicate than ours as we grow older. So we've got to really, really make sure that our babies are not being exposed to any loud, excessive noise for any length of time.
Yeah, even already when women are pregnant, you must know that the tummy will only protect sound for about 5 dB. That means if you are exposed to the sound of a music festival of 105 dB, the fetus inside your tummy will actually experience a level of 100 dB, which actually will destroy already the hair cells, the sensitive keys inside the ear of the even unborn baby.
Well, you've actually scared us all now. I hope that those parents listening out there, or if any teenagers listening, it'll make them turn the volume down a bit. Because I don't know why it has to be quite, maybe I'm just showing my age here, but I don't know why those things have to be quite so loud that the entire room can hear you. When you've got earplugs in your ears, you can hear it, and so can everybody else around you.
Well, I think there is a reason for that, is the fact that we are all used to loud sounds, and one side effect of loud sounds is that it increases your heart rate, your blood pressure, which is actually also a danger, but it increased also the adrenaline levels in your blood, which actually makes you feel better. A lot of people feel it as a drive. You just must try it yourself. If you drive your car and you have a nice song on the radio and you increase the volume, then you automatically will drive faster, and you feel much better. We start moving on music. We call that dancing. But actually, nature wants to protect us against these harmful sounds by increasing the adrenaline, by increasing the heart rate, the blood pressure, actually trying to tell us you must run away. And we stay, and we find it very, very pleasant to listen to that very loud music, but at the same time, our very precious hair cells are dying within our inner ear.
Well, Dr. Fink, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Hopefully we've given lots of people out there lots to think about, and hopefully we'll have a quieter world now after listening to this. Thank you so much for joining me on the show this evening.
Thank you so much. It's really a pleasure.
Professor
Bye.
Dr. Bart Fink is Head of Department of Communication Pathology and Audiology at the University of Pretoria. And for more information on noise-induced hearing loss, you can contact the South African Speech, Language and Hearing Association on 086 111 3297, 086 111 3297, or by email on admin@saslha.co.za.